think you've communicated that effectively, and certainly something that's going to resonate with our audience. I appreciate you sharing there. And just digging into the tech a little bit more, without you obviously disclosing anything confidential, how does your AI spot risks that are hidden deep inside many dense contracts that humans may miss?
Yes, yes. It's a very important question, and I think the last few years have shown us how capable AI is, and especially when we talk about contracts. And I would say, like most contracts in UK, in Germany, and in especially in some countries even more than in others, it's like a landmine with legal language wrapped about them. Yeah, it's like a kind of risky parts which are hidden over a lot of sentences, a lot of information.
This is the Secure Cyber Connect podcast with Jay Adamson and Warren Atkinson, where we're joined by information, cybersecurity, technology and talent acquisition professionals who share their journeys, unique perspectives and offer advice and guidance. Our topics on this episode will be cybersecurity with blockchain encryption. Today we're delighted to be joined by Dr. Elena Mechik. Dr. Elena is the CEO and founder of Inhubber, a Berlin-based software as a service platform for secure AI-driven contract management. With a PhD in earth sciences and economics, she brings a unique mix of sustainability and technology. At Inhubber, she's pioneered blockchain-based encryption for digital contracts and signatures, boosting security and transparency. Her work sits at the very intersection of cybersecurity, legal tech and innovation, and empowers public institutions and enterprises to manage sensitive data with confidence. Elena, welcome to the Secure Cyber Connect podcast today, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So very quickly, if you could just give us a brief high-level overview of some of the key themes we'll be exploring in our discussion today.
Yes. So in general, we will be talking about cybersecurity meeting contracts. Yes, and trust me, it's not just for techies, it's for leaders, for marketers, for CEOs. And just in brief, we will be talking about blockchain encryption, what it really is, and digital signatures, also based on the blockchain technology, on encryption. How can it work? What is the difference to the general platforms you know usually, which are on the market without blockchain? What are the differences? And what happens if contracts are actually being hacked? Yeah, if they are not encrypted, as we do with end-to-end encryption, the security level itself and how smart design makes it possible to actually bring documents, contracts to highest level of security. And Inhubber's end-to-end defense, yes, what it looks like if we lock down every document, every contract we manage.
Well, it's certainly an increasingly important topic, so really looking forward to getting into it with you. So before we kick things off, just a couple of icebreakers. We typically ask our guests if they maybe could share a mistake that they've made and maybe an important lesson that they learned from that mistake.
Yeah, definitely. So a mistake I think of is when I started Inhubber over 5 years ago as a young founder without much experience of actually how it goes. I tried to do everything by myself. Yeah, we were 3 founders initially, and I took the role of marketing, of sales, of a product owner, and it was a big mistake at the end because, of course, you can't do everything 100% at once. And I had to learn to navigate, to find people who are even stronger than me in some cases where I can rely on, where I can give over. And yes, it was an important lesson for me to navigate and to actually make myself not the single source of truth, but that the company can run also without me if I am on vacation, for example.
Absolutely. A delegation is key. And maybe, on flipping that, was there a particular challenge that you faced throughout your career that maybe shaped your views on cybersecurity specifically?
Yeah, actually, like when we started Inhubber, it was the idea of helping companies, organizations of within paperless processes. Yeah, and there was also a topic of sustainability. We will talk about it a little bit later, how to be able to actually run a company totally sustainable with, and so when we started it, we actually had this idea that no one will trust us, a young company, a startup, managing contracts, the most confidential information, if we don't offer the highest level of security. Yeah, it was kind of the first idea we got, and that's actually how Inhubber evolved. We started thinking about, is it true that companies don't rely on startups for contract management? And we realized, yeah, security is number one priority in this case. And also throughout the time, it was 2019, there were already massive cyber attacks happening, and we were researching on that. And even I remember there was a growing e-commerce brand which was actually growing very quickly, and at some point of time it was hacked, and it came out they just didn't manage the data right. They had a very simple password, which is behind which the data was stored. No 2FA, no monitoring, no alerts, nothing. And that made us think that, yeah, we need to overcome that. We need to find a solution of actually making contract management, document management highly secure and totally encrypted.
That's brilliant. It's really impressive that, as a business, you started with the end in mind. We see a lot of vendors, well, startups and scale-ups really falling short with that basic level of cyber hygiene, of course. Not just protecting themselves, but as well as their customers and their clients and partners, for instance. So I do commend you for that. Now, look, as we dig into things a bit further, can you firstly outline what blockchain encryption really is, and then go on to share with us what it's crushing traditional data security?
Yeah. With pleasure. So maybe we start from backwards. What is actually traditional data security? So what you usually would have, and traditional systems, they are centralized. You would have one server, one admin, and at the end, one target for hackers, for cyber attacks. And blockchain actually flips this whole model, because we start having this not centralized point of failure and not a single gatekeeper, but a decentralized way of storing the same information. So maybe what is blockchain? Yeah, what is blockchain in a nutshell? Blockchain means we have different nodes, blockchain nodes, maybe distributed across the globe, maybe across Europe, across the city, but they are all independent, but storing the same information simultaneously. And should anyone try to change information on one particular node, all the other nodes will realize, yes, this information is being changed, and they do have actually to confirm, yes, that's fine or that's not fine. So it makes it, it provides an audit trail. It provides a high level of security that nothing can be changed, and that everything which is stored within this type of system is encrypted and immutable. And talking about cyber attacks, imagine someone tries to attack information which is, first of all, end-to-end encrypted. Yes, and what we do is we encrypt every contract we store with a particular private public key combination, and making it immutable, making it impossible to actually be being attacked. And that's actually like the biggest difference, between traditional data security, where you have everything at one place. Of course, it might be difficult to hack it, to attack it, but you just need to attack one single place, so to say. And having blockchain technology used for encryption, for data security, makes it thousands times more difficult to attack.
And on blockchain digital signatures, could you first define that for our audience and share with us a bit more around blockchain digital signatures in terms of why they're unhackable and potentially legally bulletproof?
Yeah, with pleasure. So what is a digital signature in general? Yeah, and what is the difference between a handwritten signature? Yeah, handwritten signature you would sign, you would seal it, send it maybe postally to someone who asked for a contract to be signed. But you don't see this whole process, right? You don't see at the end who was signing the document you have sent for signature. It could be my husband, it could be my child who learned how I sign. No one can actually track it at the end. Yeah, I mean, and the digital signature makes it in general already more secure because you do have a format where you know exactly who has signed. Yeah, and there are different levels of signature. Some signature you would need to show your ID before signing, yeah, in order to make sure that it's exactly you who have been invited for signature. It's encrypted, etc. And what makes our signature even more unique? Yeah, why do we use blockchain for e-signature? First of all, we encrypt also the process of exchanging information. Yes, we encrypt the whole way from the one who asks you to sign till you get the document for signature, until you will be signed it. So there's a true outgoing encryption, end-to-end encryption happening. Secondly, we make it impossible to change the information which have been signed. Yeah, we make it impossible, immutable, transparent, what has been signed, by whom it has been signed. And what is unique about blockchain-based signature is that you even can sign an Excel sheet, for example. Yeah, you can sign a file format which usually is not signable, we would say. Yes, usually Excel sheet. If you needed to sign an Excel sheet, you would need to convert it to PDF first to make it unchangeable and then be able to sign. Yes, and so that's where the blockchain technology actually helps to provide even more functionalities, but besides security on cyber attack level, but also providing the possibility to actually make it immutable, even in a file format which would usually not be possible to make immutable and unchangeable. And a big mistake which many people are making is when it comes to e-signatures, that you can just, copy your signature and place it on a PDF, on a Word, or save it as a PDF at the end. And of course, it's not a legally binding signature. Yes, it's not legally binding. You do need to be able to track back who actually placed this scanned signature on the document, on the paper. And so in a way, when we compare different levels of signature, I would place actually signature on paper without seeing the person if you're somewhere else, as on the lower levels, and e-signature as you know it, with just copying your signature on a paper. That's kind of it's not a legally binding signature. Then we have different e-signature providers on the market. And on top of it, I would place actually us, because we do provide this way of immutability and end-to-end encryption in exchanging information.
No, I appreciate you sharing there. And are there any other misconceptions about digital signatures that are putting people at risk?
Yes, so that's actually what I was just explaining regarding, I would say the biggest misconception is that you can just type your name on a PDF or click to sign, and that many people consider it to be a digital signature. But It's not, yes. And many people think, hey, I clicked sign in my PDF tool and that's secure, but it's not. And there are different risks to it. So those basic e-signatures, as we know them, like by clicking, are just visual marks, of course. And just think it further, anyone could click on it. Yeah, it could be you, it could be even a dog who passed by and clicked on a button. So they can be copied, they can be edited, they can be dragged, dropped into another file. There's often no cryptographic link to the person or the document. And that means, on the other hand, there's no proof who really signed it, no way to detect changes after signing. Yes, it's also a big topic. You signed, but someone else might be able to edit it. And there's no real legal or also technical integrity.
So how does Inhubber lock down every step? So documents don't get interfered with.
Yes. So exactly there, we do use blockchain technology for audit trail. So we can track back every step, every document which has been uploaded to the system, every person who got access to it, who has signed, when it has been signed, making also sure that after the document has been signed by everyone who was involved, there is no technical possibility to change any data. And coming back again to the topics, even other formats like a picture, like a video, you could even sign a video with help of our system. So any idea you would have of what could be signed and what you usually would have to convert into PDF in order to make it unchangeable, we can actually provide it with help of the blockchain technology.
Just going a little bit more of a broader overview, do you think security can be both fast and foolproof? How do you make tech work to its optimum performance?
Yes. So it's a good question, because usually, people think you have to choose. It's either secure, then it's slow, it's clunky, there's a lot of friction. Yeah, you have to wait, you have to have maybe a key, something to make it very secure. And then there's speed, which is risky, but it's fast. Yeah, risky, it's exposed and open to hacks. But it's not true. Yes, if you take security as the roots of the whole infrastructure, as the base, then you can make a very user-friendly experience, UX UI experience. And that's what we actually did. Yeah, we said security is the core. We build everything upfront security. Yes, and of course, it was a long process, and we made our life more complex than we could have had it. Yeah, even every functionality, every little detail takes much longer if you start building it up from the security level. But from the side of the user, if you do it as a provider this way, it can be very user-friendly. So actually, when I explain our solution, I say there are three core topics we cover. First of all, security. Second of all, user-friendliness. So we say the customers who are onboarding, they need about 20, 30 minutes of onboarding time to understand how the system works. And that's, of course, like very little. And the third part is AI. Yeah, so we can combine very innovative technologies, making it in a very secure environment and very user-friendly for the user. And maybe just as a comparison, yeah, what do I mean by it? If you make security as a core, then let's think about Tesla. Yes, and Tesla, they didn't take a gas car and add electricity to it. Yes, they built it from the beginning. They said it will be an electrical car and very user friendly. Yes, and that's actually what we do. Yeah, we make it very secure but user friendly.
No, I think you've communicated that effectively and certainly something that's going to resonate with our audience. I appreciate you sharing there. And just digging into the tech a little bit more, without you obviously disclosing anything confidential, how does your AI spot risks that are hidden deep inside many dense contracts that humans may miss?
Yes, yes, it's a very important question, and yeah, I think the last few years have shown us how capable AI is, and especially when we talk about contracts. And I would say, like most contracts in UK, in Germany, and in especially in some countries even more than in others, it's like a landmine with legal language wrapped about them. Yeah, it's like a kind of risky parts which are hidden over a lot of sentences, a lot of information. And if we would be honest with ourselves, no one really likes to read and to try to find this risks within contracts, because that's all about it, right? Like when you look at a contract, you do need to find what are the financial details, what are the maybe IP rights, what are the confidentiality topics, etc. I mean, the risk can be various: financial, compliance risks, legal risks. And everyone who's working along contracts is at the end trying to find these topics and to see if he can live with it. And as humans, we get tired, of course, and we get bored. And imagine yourself at 5 p.m. on a Friday evening trying to read a contract and finding certain information before you would have to sign it and leave for your wished weekend. And imagine you had a full day of meetings, and maybe it's not your first contract you're reading, but maybe a 10th. And we make mistakes. But for a machine, for AI, it doesn't get tired. Yeah, and it doesn't look at contract from our human perspective. That's the important part, and this part is less important. AI is looking at it at once. It scans the whole document, and it navigates you to the risks, to the predefined topics which might be risky for your particular company. Yeah. So what we do, we prompt AI accordingly to specific companies we are working with, if it's required, of course. And then AI highlights and shows you these places, the risky places it finds, giving also suggestions, and also being able to create even tasks and navigate these tasks to specific employees who should look at them. It can be a lawyer at the end who would look at these risky parts, but AI can help to reduce this manual work which no one really likes, to the very important parts which have to be looked at by a specialist. So in a way, we can't talk about AI as a replacement for a human. And if I talk to our AI specialists, they say AI does make mistakes. And even after 2 years, after 5 years, we should never rely 100% on AI and on the results it provides, but it can facilitate and it can fasten the processes in regard with, especially contracts, in regard with compliance checks, with risk analysis, etc.
No, that's very fascinating. Appreciate you sharing. And once again, without you disclosing too much, could you perhaps tell us about a moment when AI saved the day for one of your clients? What were the risks attached, and what was the value that it presented?
Yes. So it's kind of confidential information. I can't tell you details because, of course, every the clients and the data we are managing. But there are situations when clients come and tell us, yes, it saves us so much time. Yes, it saves us time, and AI helps to find information which they might not even be able to find in the amount of documents, amount of not enough resources there are. Yeah, they have also scarcity of employees in some companies, and AI can facilitate this process. So how can you imagine it? Our platform, so you can actually import a mass of documents, a mass of contracts at once to the platform, and AI can scan all those documents on important information, on cancellation options, on risks. So often customers are so happy because they say, yeah, actually found some contract which was missed, yes, being stored on a server, uploading like a mass of information to us. And so there are reminders coming out. There's automatization happening, that no important date or no important risk is being neglected or missed. And that's kind of a story, yes, I can tell you.
No, I appreciate you sharing. And if you were to speak directly to board members, for instance, some of them are a bit doubtful. Can AI really help companies avoid massive legal fines if they catch them early?
Definitely, 100%. And honestly, it's one of AI's most underrated superpowers in business right now. And let's be real. Yeah, most compliance failures aren't because people are reckless. It's because regulations are complex, contracts are long, and teams are overwhelmed. Yes. So it's just this combination of complexity and what I was explaining before is this very long documents, very long contracts. And what are the potential risks? So maybe you miss a GDPR clause, yes, or you overlook a data transfer restriction, just very like specific topics, or you forget a termination right in a specific deal, yes. And this don't come labeled like danger. This information is just hidden within different parts of documents. And how does AI help? Yeah, in a big way. AI like Inhubber does three key things. Yeah, it scans for compliance gaps instantly. So it does understand legal frameworks like GDPR, ADAS, ESG standards. And it stays updated while humans sleep. Yeah, in the time you're sleeping, it's still being updated. So regulations might change, and people might not catch it up. Yeah, might be some time might pass, but with help of AI and with help of having this central environment, central way of storing all data, all contracts, all information, it becomes easy to actually scan contracts, even if new regulations come, to make compliance check and to actually turn compliance from legalese to action. Yes, that's kind of in a nutshell.
That sounds like you allow organizations to use compliance and legalese, of course, as a business enabler as opposed to a blocker. Having that preparedness. I've looked at your dashboard myself and went through a few of the demos online, and I see that you've got the alerts that perhaps organizations don't have. And with contractors coming into businesses, helping organizations, they take that knowledge out with them. There may be projects or deadlines that they haven't hit that are sort of impending. Which sometimes can fall under the radar for existing team members. So certainly commend you on the solution there.
And talk a little bit more. Let's look at why I suppose many governments and large institutions in a time where trust, transparency, efficiency, and of course security is facing critical challenges. It's clear that many governments are abandoning old tech for blockchain-based document security. It's not a case of do they want it, they need it. Simple as that. So talk me through your thoughts on that. Why do you think governments are pivoting now?
When we look at the current situation, especially within governments, so we see that governments are dealing with more pressure than ever. Yeah, we have cyber attacks which are rising. Citizens which demand more. They demand transparency. They demand efficiency. They are unsatisfied in a lot of countries. We see movements now of unsatisfied people, I would say. Yes. And, yes, we could even say that if the public sector is not working properly, the democracy has a problem in itself. Yes, because then we have specific parties rising just because people want to be against what there is. So it's actually quite a deep going a problem, I would say. And which challenge is there more within government? So coming back to documents and contracts, so paper trails and PDFs and signatures, etc., like just sending information over on a postal way, it's not enough anymore. People realize that's kind of the last century. It's not the century we are living in, and also governments have to develop with the current possibilities that are on the market. So the problem with this old tech you were mentioning within governments is this, again, centralized databases, which is a single point of failure, and single point of cyber attacks again. It's much easier. We were talking about it's this old way of managing data, and PDFs and scanned signatures. We discussed that a little bit also previously. It's easy to fake and it's hard to verify if it's actually the person who has signed, especially if it's if it's not a specific contract which is important and you don't really know who has signed it. It's a big challenge, and also manual audits. Manual audits of documents, of information. It's a slow, it's expensive process, and it's full of blind spots. Blind spots meaning, again, a person might get tired, might overlook some important information. And here we are talking about legal documents, about permits, contracts, voting records. And what we see, it's kind of running on the infrastructure of the 90s. Yes. And of course, that's kind of the challenge. And when we look on the other side on blockchain-based document security, blockchain-based data management, e-signatures. So, of course, it seems to be the right decision for governments to look at this technology of switching, because first of all, you get tamper-proof records. Every signature, timestamp, document version is sealed cryptographically, in a very secure environment, unchangeable, immutable. It's a built-in transparency. So if you want to prove something that it was signed at a certain time by a certain person, you have this total transparency, and there's no middleman. So there's no more trusting third parties or chasing approvals across 5 departments. Who was actually responsible for what? You get this total transparency. And that's what we are doing. So we have already cities in Germany using our blockchain secured contract management. OECD, for example, using us, public procurement, moving to blockchain to prevent fraud. That's a short answer.
No, it's definitely cutting through a lot of the bureaucracy and technological structural weaknesses that we have within the public sector piece. So I appreciate you sharing, and hopefully it'll protect that extra vulnerability that comes with the public sector.
And look, we've heard from a lot of technology and security leaders that cloud storage is not enough. So we're hoping that we can be real today and cut through the BS as such. What are the huge security holes in using Google Drive or Dropbox for contracts, for instance?
Yes, that's a good question. And if we look at Google Drive, Dropbox, they are built for file sharing. For pictures, maybe videos, for information, but there's no built-in security for contracts. And when you store legal agreements there, you are creating actually massive blind spots. And what are the security holes? First of all, you don't have a real tamper protection. Anyone with edit access can change a contract. Yeah, anyone who has access rights could change something. And there's no cryptographic proof of what version was signed or when it has been signed. And if you get into a legal dispute, you better hope someone didn't quietly swap page 9 for something else. So you know, like there is no traceability, there is no transparency of what actually happened with the data, with the information. Usually there is no signature integrity. Yeah, so Google Drive can store a PDF as a digital signature, sure, but it doesn't verify the signature. It can't track who signed what or block post-signing edits, yes, after the signature has happened. Like someone could get and put his signature on top of it. How can you track it back? Weak audit trails. Drive can tell you, yes, it can tell you who accessed the file, but it doesn't tell you who approved the clause, what version was agreed on, or when a specific key term has changed. And contracts do need this full life cycle transparency. You have to be 100% sure regarding the audit, like having an audit trail, who has changed what, who has signed what, having the total, this understanding of what was happening with your documents, with your contracts along the way. And at the end, there is no built-in compliance or risk detection. Yes, Dropbox doesn't care if your contract violates the GDPR, yeah, or it won't alert you if a clause has to be renewed, or if you have to look if you should cancel a contract. So in general, all those topics, and also access is equal to risk. Yeah, if someone leaves the company and still has access to the folder, it's a high risk. And having this transparency regarding permissions within Google Drive, within Dropbox. Yes, so in a nutshell, I would say Google Drive and Dropbox are great for team photos, for not legally binding information, but not for contracts.
Well, that's brilliant. Appreciate sharing. And zero access architecture, what is that? And why should businesses demand it?
Yes. So zero access architecture, what does it actually mean? And it means that even the platform that stores your data can't read your data. Yeah, even us as providers of Inhubber, as providers of this infrastructure of contract management, we have zero access. Yes. We can't enter your information because it's encrypted. It's end-to-end encrypted. You need your private blockchain key in order to get access to the information which is stored on our system. And what is very important is that we don't have access to the keys, to those private blockchain keys of our users, of our customers. And that makes it impossible for us to actually enter your data, enter the information which is being stored. And that means, in a nutshell, this zero access architecture. So compared to other providers on the market, which might also provide contract management solutions, usually they train their employees not to enter the information, not to enter the data. They are not allowed to look into the contracts of the customers, into the documents of the customers, but there is this possibility. They can do it. Yeah, so technically it's possible. So for our employees, for our developers, software developers, it's impossible to enter this data, and that's zero access.
That extra layer of trust and security as well, because, insider threat is something that's big within, regardless of the industry. I know as a sort of end user, I know that I want an organization or a partner that's going to keep my data secure. And within the blockchain space, of course, they're not your keys, not your data. But in this case, you sort of mandate your clients and your partners to have ownership of your keys. So there isn't the risk of insider threat, for instance.
Secure Cyber Connect community have got an urgent announcement. We're excited to share that Secure Cyber Connect podcast is hitting the road. In partnership with some of the leading cyber and tech events in Europe, we'll be recording a series of exclusive pre-event special edition episodes featuring speakers, innovators, and leaders driving real change in the industry.
And that's not all. We'll be on site hosting live interviews with senior security and technology leaders and speaking directly with attendees to capture their insights and voices. So this is your chance to not just watch the conversation, but to be part of it. We'll be covering the Cyber Leaders Summit in Belgium, an invite-only forum for senior security decision makers, the International Cyber Expo at Olympia, a global stage for cutting-edge solutions and serious discussion, and DTX London, where technology, innovation, and cybersecurity all converge.
So if you're attending, step up, show up, and be heard. If not, now it's time to register and join us. You can find more information in the description below.
Let's move the conversation forward together.
For all of us at Secure Cyber Connect, we look forward to seeing you there.
And talking a little bit, obviously in the intro, we discussed, that you have a PhD in Earth Sciences, and climate science is clearly a key area of passion and interest for you. How did your work on climate and sustainability maybe inspire your journey into blockchain and AI?
Yeah, it's an interesting story actually. So my research and my PhD, as you mentioned, it was actually about protection of tropical forest against deforestation, climate change, mitigation. So from the side, it might seem to be a totally different topic from what I do now. But what was the journey? So actually, by the end of my PhD and looking at the whole issue of tropical forest deforestation, I realized that we can't tackle the challenges which exist for so many years, for hundreds of years, with the same technologies as we were using, creating these challenges, so to say. And blockchain, as an example, is a technology where I saw it's actually a possibility to also provide transparency into this whole system, into the whole deforestation topic. And I even wrote a paper on it, how blockchain-based contract management can actually help in minimizing the illegal deforestation. Because let's imagine there is a license for tropical for actually where it's allowed to deforest timber in some area, so a legal license. So in a nutshell, our platform provides the possibility to actually connect the real timber with contracts. Yes, so providing the whole transparency across also the supply chain from cutting the timber till the final product has been produced, because even there we provide this transparency. So that's, on a higher level, that's the journey. And first of all, it was also the idea to go this direction of actually furniture and timber production. But throughout the time, we realized it's not number one topic. We should cover it and provide it also to other companies. We also have an NGO, so I have established an NGO for climate change mitigation, for tropical forest conservation, and it's still running. We also donate some of our revenues to the NGO, also providing this system and actually a model of how business can actually be a sustainable business. And that we should have higher values leading us towards what we actually do. And I think this example of not running an NGO just by itself, but actually having this combination of NGO and a company is the way to go. Yeah, is the way to go, because NGO can't depend just on donations. It's very hard life for an NGO, and the company shouldn't think just about revenue, especially if you have children, if you have family, and thinking about next generations. I would say that's the only way for now, and we want to build this kind of a show up model of how sustainability can be embedded into the business life.
Yeah, that's amazing, Elena, and we commend you on everything you've been doing and by leading, by example there with everything you've kindly outlined to us. In terms of you as a founder, we know building a startup is a pretty intense affair. How do you think sort of many other founders can balance being sort of hands-on with the freedom to innovate and lead and have the identity that you've just talked about, for example?
So, I mean, you have to know yourself at the end. Yes, you have to know what you are burning for. You have to understand what leads, what motivates you. And in a way, it's, yes, the life of a founder is very intense. Yes, you have to balance and to juggle so many topics simultaneously. And I would say, only if you have like this bigger vision in front of you, a bigger topic which leads you, which makes you wake up every day, even if it's hard, if you have maybe also a lot of challenges at once, and not everything is running smoothly, to actually have this bigger vision, bigger goal, and it makes you continue even in challenging times. And I think that's the most important, to have actually values which you communicate to the team, and as a light at the end of the road, so to say, which leads you forward, which makes you continue with highs and downs, with ups and downs.
What do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are about startups, building a startup and within blockchain or cybersecurity? What do you think that more people should understand about that?
So maybe what founders need to understand is that trust is earned through clarity and not through complexity. Yes, and it's important that if we talk about cybersecurity, about blockchain, it seems to be very complex, right? And but it's much more important to make people understand what it's kind of, in a very simple words, to present the value in a simple way. So especially for startups dealing with these topics, for companies dealing with topics of cybersecurity, we should try to communicate as simple as possible. And also cybersecurity, we talked about it, must be user-friendly. Yeah, if it's not easy, it won't get used. Yeah, even if companies would say, yeah, it's important, security is the number one priority. But here we talk about just usual employees who are working daily on specific topics, and no one will use it if it's complex. So we have to kind of combine the simplicity with simple way of communicating with user friendliness.
Absolutely. And finally, a topic that Warren and I are very passionate about, we talk a lot about on our podcast, is mental health, work-life balance. These are becoming increasingly critical, certainly within the security space. What advice or support would you encourage for startup leaders, founders, with regards to that?
Yeah, it's an important question, and actually, it's not just that I'm the founder. My husband is my co-founder, and we do have children. So this work-life balance is, of course, a topic for us, because we are kind of in the same boat. It's not just that my husband is doing something totally different, and we would be, we could work day and night, right? And there would still be so much to do, and it's our kind of child as well, right? Like, which we feed and make it grow. And for us, what is important is that we have a day. We don't touch smartphones. We don't touch laptops. We don't touch anything connected to work. We don't even talk about work. This one day, it's every week we have one day we are completely off. And And that's kind of a recharge. We read books disconnected to work. We talk about topics disconnected to work, and that's our work-life balance. And also, dinner time is dinner time. There's no smartphone. There's no discussion about work, for example, because again, like having husband working in the same company, we could talk about it constantly. So these are kind of internal rules we made for ourselves and which work well. Yes. So it's kind of a recharge every week, once a day, like 1 day a week, to collect power, to just, having this time to relax. And actually after this day, we have so many like new ideas, because there was a break in between.
I appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
I appreciate you sharing. Some real good takeaways there for our audience. And I know you've touched on it in Inhubber quite a lot during our discussion, but as we sort of close out this session, could you share a bit more in relation to your vision, mission, purpose, and of course, what the future holds for you in the business?
Yes, with pleasure. So what is the vision of Inhubber? It's kind of creating a way where every contract becomes a source of truth and not a source of stress. Yes, it's again simple, easy, and where people can rely on contracts without being afraid they miss some information. When it comes to our mission, so that's to simplify and secure contract management with AI and blockchain. To make it simple and secure contract management. And our purpose is also to build digital trust that scales. Digital trust that scales in connection with the sustainability topics we were discussing. And that's basically it. And regarding the future and what the future holds for me, for myself, so it's kind of simple. I do want to keep building things that help people move faster, smarter, and more securely in the digital world.
No, that's brilliant. And we have full confidence in your ongoing success. And for our audience and our listeners who want to stay connected beyond secure community platform, for instance, how else or where else can they reach you?
Yes, so please connect with me over LinkedIn. Go to our website. You can actually, if you click on book a demo, you can talk to me or some other of our team members, but you get a total direct connection to me also through the website. And write me an email. So I would be very happy to hear your feedback on this show, maybe reply to some questions you would have. So please stay in touch.
Well, look, thank you, Elena. We're certain the community, a lot of our listeners will have found a huge amount of insight, value in what's been a fascinating session today. As always, to continue the discussion and for more sustained engagement, we invite you to join the Secure CyberConnect community, where we offer a range of collaborative solutions for tech and security professionals at no cost. Expansive community access, cross-section mutual mentoring, online networking sessions, and exclusive interviews such as this, with panel discussions, live events, and masterclasses now taking shape. If you want to learn more, gain access to the community and any of our initiatives, please visit allthews.secure-recruitment.com/cyber-connect/. Thank you very much, everybody.